but I'll give you a quick introduction. Pablo Arias, longtime friend, the OG meme god, founder of Owlpack Media, well respected in the world of social media. He has grown multiple Instagram pages to over 1 million followers just as a teenager. His most well-known page he grew before it was sold for over 6 figures was called Couples of Society. He has worked with P. Diddy, Fashion Nova, Lil Pump, and Ty Lopez, just to name a few. And he now operates the Twitter handle at House of NFTs, a brand called Space Smoke Shop, and as well as helping his family's international fashion brand, I2. So let's go ahead and run the intro here.
When it comes to success, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. The journey to the top is filled with roadblocks, bumps, and U-turns. And what better way to fast-track this venture than by learning from the best? Welcome to Breaking It Down with Yogin Patel.
All right, my guy. Well, I want to kind of go back. There's so much you've done in your career. Kind of want to start with your childhood and, talk to me about where you first kind of grew up. And was it, in Los Angeles? Was it back, in South America? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Sure. I was born in Colombia.
Okay.
And came out here when I was a baby to Florida. I was about like 3 years old. Spent a little bit of time in Florida and then moved out to LA, where I've pretty much spent my whole childhood, young adult life in the LA area. Moved out here when I was about 7. Yeah, man, just stayed in LA ever since. I like the weather too much to leave.
Yeah.
So, I come from an immigrant merchant family. I always repeat this to my friends. I say that we're products of environment. So like really, I think everything I am today is like simply I'm a product of environment. I grew up around, immigrant merchant hustle mentality. We moved around quite a bit, from Florida to LA, moved around like a few places. So, my early childhood life, I was moving around a lot. I didn't really stay at one school for too long. I had to go to a new school, meet new friends, start that whole process over again. Man, yeah.
How old were you when you first came out to the States?
I was about 3 years old. So I moved from Colombia. Yeah, pretty much I was a baby.
Okay.
From 3 to 7, stayed out in Florida. And then ever since 7 years old to now, my age of 24 years old, I've been out here in the LA area.
Got it. And you said your family is very, merchant based. So small business. Talk to me about how that was growing up and, how that's influenced you potentially even now.
So I'm so grateful now for like every single detail of life leading up to this moment, because when you come from an immigrant merchant family, you don't have much money, first of all, and any money you do have, like the idea is to save, or like send money back to your family in your home country.
Exactly.
Like growing up, we, I'm not going to give you my sob story, my sad story. Everyone's got one. We didn't have much money. I grew up on food stamps. I've definitely grown a lot throughout my whole life. I'm not a saint. The first, I come from just area where, we're products of environment. Like the very first thing I ever stole was a loaf of bread from a store. Like seriously, I give you context. So like, I'm grateful, man. I've had I would call like a full life where I've got to experience life on like different spectrums of like, having absolutely no money to being able to like be around people with money, like old money, all types of things. And so, yeah, man, my childhood, it's been a very like diverse childhood. my mom, before she started her fashion brand, she was working for other people. And so we would like follow her around, wherever she got work. When we were in Florida, we were living in a woman's garage at the time, who was like my mom's boss, while she was learning the fashion game. And so, yeah, man, just growing up, it was me, my brother, and my mom, pretty much. My parents split when I was 3. My mom brought us out here to the States to chase the American dream. And yeah, it was just me, my brother, and my mom. And so I am proud to say that like I'm very close with my brother and my mom. My brother played like that father figure role, like stepped in and, like just he was a big brother, but also played like a father figure role to me.
That's impressive, man. I mean, talk about your mom bringing her 2 kids into the States by herself. Like,
not easy, man. It's
not
easy. The older I get, the more I understand my mother, and the more I appreciate her sacrifices and understand that like shit, man, it was not like it's not easy now. No, it wasn't easy back then. Like it's not easy for any single mother to raise children on their own. Especially, someone chasing like entrepreneurial dreams, right? Where like life is so uncertain. As you as you like chase an entrepreneurial dream, like you don't know when your next dollar's coming from. Someone could knock on your door and change your life, in one day by telling you something, so I appreciate all that like sacrifice that my mother, she put out for my brother and I, just to give us the life that she never had. Growing up, so I got to watch my mom. That's been I think one of like the best like life experiences that I've had to date, is I got to watch my mom and help her too, with whatever my capabilities were at the time, to like just help her grow her fashion dreams. And so growing up, like it really wasn't even until like I got older, like later in my teenage years, where like business started going good for my mother. But like up until like high school, early high school, like life was a struggle, like I, I never got like allowance. I never asked my mom for allowance. I knew what, like I was conscious enough of like how life is, how it works and everything, to like not be that, son that asks mommy for things.
Right.
But dude, yeah, man, my entrepreneurial background. So I'm an entrepreneur, just let everybody know. I'm proud to say that, it was just I don't know really anything else, like I don't know what else I would be doing. Like one of my favorite podcasts right now is Andy Frisella's podcast. And someone asked how he's like, what they say, he's like, so Andy, along your journey, many times, like you wanted to quit, I'm sure. And he's like, yeah, but then one thing he said that just cracked me up, and like I'm thinking about it still to this day, is he said, like, what the fuck else am I going to do?
Right.
Like he's like, I don't have any other option. And I kind of feel in that same boat too, where like, this is pretty much like all I know, it's going back to like childhood and everything. It's just the way I grew up. I grew up around entrepreneurs. I got to watch the ugly, the beautiful, and they're just molded me to like, be a risk taker, be someone that like chases curiosity. And just tries things really. I began my like professional career at the age of 14 years old. When I started, I was a child actor.
So yeah, man, that's actually really interesting, because I was doing some research about you, and I did come across some articles that said you were on Nickelodeon, which is, I personally didn't know that. So that was news to me. But yeah, talk to us about that.
Man, my 5 minutes of fame, dude. Man, yeah, I remember like I had a lacrosse game that day, and I decided to like skip my lacrosse game and go to, going back to like sacrifice, like I was scratching an itch with the acting, and I decided that day that I wasn't going to go to my lacrosse game and I was going to go to this audition instead, which is, the Nickelodeon audition for a show called Marvin Marvin. It was like a show with the Fred character, basically about his journey as like an extraterrestrial going through the high school experience and trying to live a human life. It was the show that replaced iCarly when iCarly went off the air. And we did one season. The reviews weren't great, so we didn't get to do a second season. But it was fun, man. I was only originally supposed to be on for one episode. And I guess I impressed the directors or the team enough for them to like call me back and give me like my own name. I actually, funny enough, like before, when I first like went on set, I was just known as like the basketball trainer. Like that was my position. Like on the script, like that was my name, is like basketball trainer. And then it ended up evolving into like them just giving me my own character of Pablo, like literally just my name, which was pretty cool. But yeah, man, I did that. Did the child acting thing for a handful of years. I'm very grateful for it. I got to do some pretty cool gigs, and that was what really opened up my eyes to just realize that, okay, like Pablo, like, I remember, being in high school. My first job, I was a freshman in high school, and they paid me something crazy. It was like something like $12,000 for 3 days of work as like a freshman in high school. And then that's crazy. That's when I realized, Pablo, like you're probably going to make your money doing stuff like this versus, going in and just sucking at school. So that was like, that was a good eye opener for me to just continue to scratch curiosities. Growing up, like I told you, man, my family is just had that entrepreneurial spirit. So like my first product, first hustle, was at a very young age. I was that kid selling candy and shit. My first product was actually gum. My mom took me to Costco and got me like wholesale packs of gum, and then took me to a Colombian concert. And then I walked around. It was the gum with like the clear wrappers that had like, it was like 4 packs of gum or something like that. Some of them were colored, and I would walk around just asking, hey, you want gum? You want gum? Like selling $1 a pack. Started selling gum as like my first hustle. And so that sort of mentality was something that was natural to me, and so, ever since, I think a child, man, I've always been a curious ass kid. I'm proud to say, like, I've been able to just experiment with a lot of different things. And I'm grateful for, my mom, like she gave me that, like, that safety net, to be able to just take crazy risks, and like, and just go for it. So, man, my childhood, dude, in short, was just, I think I grew up like more, but also I grew up like normal kids, man. I like to do like all the normal, what my favorite thing to do as a kid was like, get bikes and grab shovels and go to the mountains with my buddies and like build our own dirt tracks, and just jump around and ride bikes and, climb trees, play sports.
Yeah.
I love being outside and sports and all that. It helped too, having an older brother. I got to hang around like the older kids. And so like my learning curve was accelerated because I was around people that were always older than me normally.
Mm-hmm. I love that, man. I think, it's so interesting when a child, kind of grows up around that atmosphere of entrepreneurs and then starts dabbling in like yourself, like you were selling gum. I feel like that's such a traditional story. When we see successful entrepreneurs these days, they always had some sort of hustle back in the day, what was kind of like the initial start into social media, would you say? Because, we all know that you're the king of social media. When I first heard about you, it was just so impressive that, you had grown all of these Instagram pages and like, some of the people you were working with back in the day. So how was that like initial start, and like, how did you just get into it?
Acting is what started pointing my eyes towards that direction, because I remember my manager at the time was telling me like, hey, like now they're starting to look at follower accounts like as you audition. So now a real variable in like whether or not you get an acting job is like, do you have an audience that you can bring with you if you get hired for the role? And so that's what initially like, I was like one of the big things that initially I just had my eyes looking that direction. And then, man, again, going back to we're products of environment, dude, I met this underground secret community. Like, I remember, I'll never forget it, dude. It sounded like a fucking movie. Like, one of the first guys I met in the whole community was like, yo, like, we're the Illuminati of Instagram. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what does that mean? Like, and it got my curiosity. But, like, there is, there's communities, I think, in every industry. And I was just lucky enough to be, no joke, partying with the like I was at a party, and like that's where I met like a lot of these guys. Was at a party I was hosting with a buddy, and a lot of these social media guys came through, pulled out their phones, showed me millions of followers on their phones, like with their meme account pages, and then that was what like initially got me like, okay, shit, this is real. Like, I saw it with my own two eyes. I got to speak with players in the game. And then at that point, man, I was working a sales job. I was doing door-to-door sales for a solar company. Then ended up doing like AT&T and DirecTV, that merger. So we started selling like DirecTV, and then AT&T bought them. And then we're like, all right, we could sell AT&T internet too. And so man, yeah, at that point, I just started, just learning, going online, studying. Like, I would say Gary Vee. I'll give Gary Vee his credit. Shout out to you, Gary. He got me to be very aggressive about social media. He said some key words like land grab, that got my mind, like my wheels churning. And so really, yeah, man, during that sales job, like right after high school, I just started looking into meme pages. I started realizing, that people pay attention to meme pages, and that attention is worth something. And so what I did was I pretty much emptied my life savings from acting and from the sales. And I started to invest into pages, like either buying them, like a literal,
And what year was this?
This was 2017.
2017. So not too long ago, honestly.
Not too long ago. That's when I like started to like really, 2015 is when I started like, I created like, I think my first meme page was 2014 actually.
Okay.
But 2017 was when I got serious about it and was like, all right, like let's just go for it. And what I started doing, man, was just treating these meme account pages like pieces of real estate. I would find like a distressed property, a mismanaged property, acquire it, nurture it, and sell it. And then I became like, I would joke with people, and they would ask me, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" I would say I'm an Instagram real estate agent.
Wow. Yeah.
That was my like, that was what I think that was like my my first quote unquote big break in business, like was meme pages, man. Started just
So how does that work, right? So you said you kind of got looped into this entire underground community. Did you saw someone have an account that had maybe a couple million followers? Did you then go up to him and say, hey, do you have any accounts that you are just willing to get rid of? Or did you start your own account from scratch? Like, what was that first account, and how did that happen?
The first account was 2014. It didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'd started a bunch of pages before. I'd started a bunch of unsuccessful pages before, like monetizing and making money on Instagram. My first big move would be the Couples of Society page. which I had acquired. It had a few million followers, like just under 3 million followers. And that was that was like the first big page where like, I, at that point, social media wasn't just like a hobby or something. Like now it's all right, I'm going to make a career out of this. And so I had bought Couples of Society from one of these guys that I'd met through the community, who had a few pages. And then there was this conversation that I had was, hey, like, which one of those would you sell to me? And he, said the Couples of Society one. We agreed on a price. I acquired it. I nurtured it. I grew it for about, it was like 1 to 2 years that I held Couples of Society. And then I flipped it after, about like 1 to 2 years after buying it.
So
and then
when you first bought it, how many followers did it first have?
It had 3 million. Let's say 3 million. It was like just under 3 million.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just under 3 million. I grew it like about 200,000 followers. So at the time that I sold it at 3.2 million followers. Okay. And I leveraged that. I used that as like my baby to like grow just a slew of other channels, grow my personal page. But that to date for sure is like my biggest move or like my biggest, acquisition with social media was the Couples of Society page. I started an e-commerce shop with it as well. Selling like couple accessories. And after like 2 years of running it, it was turning into a job. And then that's when I decided, I'm going to start building pages around passions. And so that's when I started building my page. It's disabled right now, but like one of my favorite pages that I manage is Weed Vids. I pretty much leveraged Couples of Society. I used it as a bartering tool. And that's one of like my favorite words in all of this social media ecosystem is that like, if you have something of value, you can barter with other people that have something of value. And I use that Couples of Society channel to barter and to grow other niche pages, like makeup pages, cannabis pages, mindfulness pages. Shout out to Gary Vee on that one. I literally remember him like speaking at a keynote saying like he just invested in like some app about mindfulness. And he's like, that's going to be the next big wave. And like literally that moment, I just paused the video and I started like acquiring at names like meditation posts, and at names that like had something to do with mindfulness. And that's, man, that just turned into like my business was really building up these micro pages and then selling them to companies.
And how does that entire process work, right? Like, because obviously this is all unregulated, right? The buying and selling of Instagram pages, really, there was no marketplace. Nowadays, there are a few places, but it's still kind of, a little still taboo. Yeah, it's still the Wild West, right? So how does that like process even work? I mean, I'm sure there's so many people that are curious. Like you do hear about these Instagram pages that get bought out. So do people DM you, or is that again that network that you were talking about that you just kind of put it up? Maybe it's like a Discord group or something.
Most of the sales, like most pages that I've flipped or sold, have come from the network of other social media operators. So like the Couples of Society page, for instance, that one, there was this group that came in and just was buying a bunch of these meme pages. And one of my good buddies was like, hey, I just sold my page yesterday. You want to go meet with this woman buying these pages at the bank, like right today? She's ready to make an offer on your page. So it was that one was a very spontaneous type of thing. Yeah. But it really, came down from network, like either clients clients that like I worked with for a period of time, and then they were like, "Hey, do you have some pages to buy?" Or other admins, other operators, page operators that like, "Yo, I just sold this to this group. You know, do you want to sell, or are you interested in selling?" They're asking me like, "Do you know anyone selling pages?" There's people constantly all the time like trying to buy and flip pages. You can also obviously always do your own cold outreach and just DM like a company that you think your page would be valuable to. So like Couples of Society, I had reached out. I was trying to get a bidding war started between the group that ended up buying it and like dating app companies, and I got some dating app companies that were interested, but they're huge corporations that make like billions of dollars a year. And, like decision making is always kind of like, it takes a while.
Yep.
But network, there's platforms and things like that that exist. I think the safest bet is network, like somebody that has transacted with somebody in the past, and like that was a successful transaction. I think that's the safest way to go about acquiring or selling pages, because it is dangerous. There are like things that people can do to like booby trap the sale and pretty much, like get the page back after selling or do something.
Right.
So and there's been instances like that. Like, unfortunately, I've heard stories of just people getting bamboozled for hundreds of thousands of dollars because, they didn't really, they didn't really know the details of like how to do a like successful transaction. Just a quick list for anyone like listening, if you're thinking of buying or selling pages. One of the big things is OG email. You want to make sure that people, if you're buying a page, that you get the original email that was used to create the page. So you want to see some sort of proof of like, welcome to Instagram, comma, username. Like that's an email like you really want to see, because if anything happens to the page, like if you go, like you forget your password or whatever, you go to reset password, they send it to the original email, or whatever email is attached at the moment. But the original email is something valuable. That's, I think, you're looking at a house, like that's like the original set of keys that you want to secure is the original email. And then also another thing is I would recommend too, like people do the transaction in person. Like, it's hard, with COVID and restrictions and things like that. But like, I think that's one of the safest ways to like go about a transaction. When I sold the couples page, that one was like, we met like right next to a bank, signed the contract at the building next to a bank, and then like walked into the bank after we had signed it. And then the woman handed me a check and I gave her a password. Like that's how it worked. I got the check first and I gave her the password. So it's a bit, it's a bit, yeah, like I would be careful with anyone, buying, selling, because obviously when there's a lot of money on the line, people can get sketchy and, try and pull a quick one on you. Yeah. So, and another thing that helped that was that, I had already gotten like the green light, or like, I got like some sort of peace of mind that, like I asked my buddy, like who sold the page a few days before, I was like, hey, the money like arrived in your bank account, right? Like, it's like, it's in there, right? It's not like a fake check that's going to bounce or something. So, I think, yeah, this is where network and like social capital and like social credibility really come into play and are really, important. But yeah, the main thing, guys, I would say is just original email, and then try and figure out a way if you can meet in person to finalize the deal. And then, as always, get everything in writing, very clear. Yeah, and then figure out like insurance policies. Like like in the writing, put an insurance policy if this check bounces, if this happens, if this, kind of anticipate what could happen, and then put that into an agreement as insurance for yourself to protect you and your money.
What would you say about the industry as a whole, even to this day? I mean, 2017 to now, I mean, so much has changed with the Instagram landscape, and now we have TikTok. Is it still a worthwhile investment to even consider buying meme pages? I mean, I have a couple friends that are still dabbled into that industry as well as yourself. I mean, what would you say, having been in the trenches and then, now to this day, is it still something you would consider, or are you considering other platforms?
The short answer is yes. It's still something that's very lucrative. There's still tons of opportunity. And I would say it's all about the deals, like there's money everywhere. There's opportunity everywhere. There's not good deals everywhere. So that's what's really most important, is the deals. Like, are the deals, is it a good deal? Like, will you get your money back if you buy a page? Like, will you be able to monetize it? Like, what's the value to you? And the hard part about it is that it's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? It's a lot of arbitrary numbers. Like, people literally pull these numbers out of their fucking ass. Like,
right.
If you ask me, like, what's this? Yeah, like what's, if someone asks me, like, right now, like, first of all, I don't even, like, it's disabled. Like, I can't log in if I wanted to. But even if someone was like, yo, I'll pay you $500,000 for your weed page right now, I would say no. I would not accept that offer. Even though I can't access it, but because it's also like, what can I do with that? Like, it's the worth, like, what the value. I think it's
all subjective. Yeah,
it's all subjective. It really, like, people are making these numbers up. I think one way to gauge the real value of a page is, okay, let's say I buy this page, right? Let's say my weed page, for instance. Let's say I buy this page, right? Realistically, how much can I make annually from this page, right? I could sell promotions. I could sell products. That's pretty much services and products, right? Are the main two things. Like, you could sell, build an email list, sell the email list. Like, to someone that, like, has never ran like an e-commerce brand in that industry, it may not be worth, what I think it's worth. To me, after having run an e-commerce business, attached, an e-commerce business to the page, that is Space Smoke Shop, where I'm selling like glassware, smoker accessories. And so the way I view it, the way, like, I view my marketing page is that, like, in a way, I'm able to absorb hundreds of thousands of marketing dollars annually for my business just by owning the page, right? I can do my own promotions on it. I can use it as a bartering tool, meaning, like, let's say there's another influencer that has 300,000 followers. She's like the most popular influencer in all of LA, home of the Kush, where, she's got a big, audience for what I'm trying to sell. How much would a post on her story normally run me, right? If I were to reach out, and let's say, ask her, hey, how much does a story on your page cost? And she says it costs $200, right? Me viewing it like as a meme page person, someone who, who has a community, instead of paying her the $200 for that story share, what I would do is, hey, we have about the same size audience, very similar audience, about the same reach. Instead of paying you the $200, what if I give you the exact same thing, in return? What if I give you a free story, and then that's where values kind of, like, they get murky and, like, gray area, because, like, that same influencer who says $200 for a story post, the one next to her, because she just has a blue check mark next to her name, she might say $1,000, and then the person to the left may say $50.
Yeah.
Right. So like the values, it's really like, like, it's such there's really no, I think, and anyone who says, like, there's a calculator, there's a formula, I don't really, I take it with a grain of salt, because you get a general idea of a window, but still to this day, people make up their own prices. Like, I will say that again, for anyone buying or selling social media shoutouts, it's pretty much like all made up prices, right? There's no calculator that people, like, look at, and so I've seen it too, on the other side of, like, buddies that I know who for years would sell shoutouts for like $100 a shoutout. The moment that they started their own business, like, selling their own tangible goods or their own services and like realize the true value of their audience. Like, why the fuck would I sell only $100? Like, now I know the value of this. Like, I've been able to sell all these, t-shirts with this audience. No, that $100 shout out is now worth $600 just because like I've now seen the other side of it where, I've seen how they convert on a website and like people actually buy product.
It's the evolution of social media, I feel like, right? It's we saw influencers go through this where they would do the same thing. Brands would reach out to them, they would have their flat rate, and then they started launching their own brands. Influencers started launching their own merch, and then that's when they realized their value is so much more. And the same thing happened with meme pages. I mean, I think I remember around the same time period, 2017, 2018, I was launching my own dropshipping brands and I was reaching out to meme pages. And, the same meme pages I reached out to a year or two later, they were launching their own brands on the same pages. And so, yeah, it's a very interesting thing how that cycle kind of shifted. But yeah.
On that note, man, that was something that that was one of my reasons for starting Space Smoke Shop, my online head shop, where it was a combination of things. One, I got enough DMs where people were asking me, hey, what's a reputable website to buy a bong from? And I got enough of those DMs where eventually I was like, here's the link, go to my website. At first, like I was even like, damn, like I don't even really know, like, I'm a connoisseur, but like, I wasn't really knowledgeable in that area. Like what are these sites, right? And so you're right about the evolution of social media. Is people started realizing their worth. Meme pages, influencers, celebrities, anyone with a following started realizing their worth after they started monetizing or putting up their own offers, in which they weren't just being paid for like the one post; they were being paid on like the back end of what that post did.
Exactly.
So that was for sure an evolution that's continuing to play out as like we're speaking right now. It's continuing to play out.
I love the sirens.
Yeah, there's some shit going on in LA, man.
You're especially like your warehouse is like right in the middle of LA, like downtown LA. Like you know what's popping.
Man, yeah, there's a lot going on, dude.
Yeah. So obviously you've had Couples of Society. That was the big meme page, and then to this day now you have your Weed Vids page. What other adventures are you currently dabbling into? I know we can talk a little bit about the NFT projects and stuff that you're going
NFTs.
into. Yeah, the house of NFTs god over here too. So what has that been like for you? I mean, NFTs is kind of a fairly new subject to a lot of people. How did you first get involved? How did you hear about it? And, just kind of walk us through what you're doing with that.
The same guy who convinced me to start buying these fucking meme pages, the same guy who got me to start buying these NFTs. Gary Vee, I'll give you your flowers. It was you, man. He gave me the confidence and data and information really for both. I think something that helped me with meme pages and Instagram world is just being an early mover, being, a pioneer. I'm not an OG, like some of my buddies are like really, really OG. I'm like, I caught on like the second wave, maybe I'll call it. But really my professional career with memes, social media marketing has been set by me being early and being right on things.
Yeah.
Right. When I was buying and I was going hard on Instagram at the time, 2017, even though Instagram was evolved, there was still like a lot of confusion, like meme pages selling, selling what? It's still so, one of is new. And so I think what attracted me to NFTs, one was that it's new and, I get another chance to like be an early mover. Like that is just something that will always excite me. I think for any sort of ventures, like, uncharted, territory, like we get to go plant flags Like one of my big things that I kept repeating to myself when I was buying these meme pages 2017 was like, we're in land grab time. We're in like land grab time where I have discovered Malibu before Malibu has become Malibu. And so I get an opportunity now to buy the beachfront properties in hopes that in 4, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever, they're going to be more valuable. And so that was, one of the things that attracted me to NFTs. NFTs, the timing of it all too was really immaculate. I got deplatformed, by Instagram.
I remember this. Yeah.
Out of the blue. And still actually to this moment, if you guys want to like look up Space Smoke Shop or weed.vids on Instagram, they're disabled. You can't like, look it up.
What's funny is I remember seeing one of your stories the other day and you had it back too. Like you had the Instagram page back and everything. And then what happened?
Zuckerberg is playing with my emotions. He's playing with my feelings. Man. I don't know who's back there, if it's a bot or a human being pushing a button, but you're right. Yeah. I got the page back after 2 months of being disabled. And a few days later, it was taken down again. And that is what attracted me to NFTs. Like above all, the idea that I get to build in an ecosystem where I won't get deplatformed, where all of the years, blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice, time can't just get taken away from me in like a click of a button. That is what attracted me to I was thinking Ethereum. But that is what attracted me to NFTs, was that the idea that like no government or no institution, no big corporation has the power to deplatform NFTs. Like, if you create an NFT and, like, let's say I make a meme that lives on the Ethereum blockchain. Sorry to shill Ethereum here, but let's just say that's the case. I like the fact that I can create something, put it out into the world, and no government or higher power corporation can just click a button and turn me off.
Right.
That's what attracted me to NFTs. And is Gary, there's a lot of use cases for NFTs. You get the technology of like proving that people own things digitally. We've had an internet now for 25 years. And like now this is the next evolution of the internet, where we've had an internet, but we've never been able to prove that somebody owns something digitally on this internet. And I think that's the next evolution. People generally like ownership. We like feeling like we own something, like we're a part of something. We're tribal humans. And so I think NFTs check a lot of boxes. And being someone that like has made my whole career has been community management, community growth, like what's, community decisions, even like I'm such a big believer that like, community, like if you just lead with community first in any industry, in most industries, I can't say any, there's, certain things, but, in just about like any industry, I really believe that if you just lead with community first, it's almost like a foolproof, economic proof system, because if the community does not like what you're doing or what you're selling, you can always pivot. You can just ask your community, what do you want me to sell you? Like, do you like this logo or this logo? And like, that was one thing I realized. And like, I want to talk more about it, just in general, like everywhere, which is that like community backed decisions are so underrated. And I don't know why most business owners, entrepreneurs, operators and companies don't value community decisions as much as they should. Because, for instance, when I was starting Space Smoke Shop, I was entering like, for me to start selling these accessories was new to me, right? I had to like start from like the ground up. It helped that like I was a consumer of this stuff, right? So I had like a general understanding, but like to learn the intricate details, I was like, dude, let me just ask my community, like if this is good for them, whatever I'm planning on doing, let me run it by my community and get their feedback on it, so I can, like, at the end of the day, give the people what they want, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's, at the end of the day, all businesses need customers, and having a community is you listen to your customers, you take customer feedback, and like the customers will tell you what they want. So I remember literally before I ever purchased my first wholesale bongs, right? Before I ever like put an inventory order for any products, I literally took a picture of it in my hand and I posted it on my Wheat page on my story. it was like a poll or one of those question things. It was a poll of yes, no, would you buy this at this price point? Right? It was like a bong, and I was like, would you buy it at $140? Would you buy this at $140? And just seeing enough people vote yes or no started giving me an idea of like, okay, there's like a good amount of people that say this is good, no, what logo should I use, right? I was stuck between a handful of logos that I hired a designer to send me a few logos. There's 4, I had, no, at first I did a 99 designs competition. So I had a bunch, right? Like 20 something different logos to look at. I identified my favorite 4. And then I was like, okay, let me let the community decide which logo I move forward with. And so I literally started doing those Instagram polls and like started doing competitions with the logos of like which logo, left or right, which, and I got the community to eventually decide on like the logo that we're using right now on Space Smoke Shop is a logo that was chosen by the community,
Wow.
And I think people, I don't want that to go over people's heads because that is something that I did. Let the people
decide.
Let the people tell you what the fuck they want. Let the people tell you what to sell them at what price point. They'll tell you so much. And so that having that mentality with like this Web3 NFT ecosystem, like it just clicked, and having a background in gaming, I used to be like an avid gamer. That, for me, it's still a learning curve to understand like what the fuck are NFTs? Why would I want an NFT? Why should companies care about NFTs? It took me, it's a learning curve to like really digest it all, but like at its core, one of my favorite things about NFTs is that you create a sort of a new relationship that you would have like most likely have never had. Like now that blockchain enables this, you create a new relationship with your users and your customers, where in the past, customers never really got to participate in the economics of a brand doing well, right? We see all these companies in the world that are killing it. They're making a lot of money, selling a lot of products, services, delivering a lot of value to customers, but the customers have never really got to participate in like the economic upside of the success of a project. And that's what's exciting about NFTs. That gets me excited is that now you get to create a really a new relationship with the people that believe in you, your early supporters, your early customers. Like I wish that, if NFTs were around when I was first starting Space Smoke Shop, like for instance, I would have been able to reward like my first 100 customers more, you know what I mean? And like deliver value back to my first 100 customers, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't have a business without those first 100 customers. And NFTs enable you to quite literally financially reward the people, the early supporters, the people that believed in your brand early on. Now they get some sort of economic upside. If you go out and crush it, your believers get to participate in that winning upside with you.
It's kind of like holding basically like a share of the company without actually owning a piece of the company, right?
That's right.
Or without giving them a piece of the company. So that's really interesting, because I did want to talk to you about the use case scenarios, and that's one clear one right there is, having a brand and then allowing your customers to own a piece of that brand through an NFT. And if the brand's value goes up in the economic marketplace, so does that NFT's value. And now your initial customers or whoever has it, they get to participate in that economic upside, as you're saying. What other things are you noticing with NFTs right now? I mean, besides even brands, and I personally saw an artist, Tory Lanez, he got involved with an NFT project of his own. And I saw that I think he did over $1 million on his NFT project. What other sorts of things are you noticing with that?
I think artists and gaming, we're going to see a huge trend in music artists and gaming NFTs. So music artists are really cool. Like, just think back to, I'm sure every person listening to this can think about a moment in time where they heard a music artist and they were like, holy shit, like, how is this music artist not bigger than what they are right now?
Yeah.
Right. Where like, you're like, wow, great music. Like, this artist, like, where you just had that feeling that this artist is probably going to keep going, like their stock is going to keep going up. With NFTs, you get to, if you really believe in a music artist, that music artist is going to continue to go up, you get to place a bet that I bet that this music artist is gonna his or her stock is gonna continue to go up. And so you get to place bets like that. And
besides even that, right? I think we had a conversation a long time ago, and you mentioned how, artists and even athletes would sell their own like signed jerseys or whatever, right? And that merchandise will go up in value over years. But now with NFTs, you have the option to basically know that it's totally verified that signed jersey came from that artist or athlete.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So that was one of my like biggest hesitations or like curiosities, uncertainties with signed memorabilia from any like big brand, any personality that, like, you go on eBay or something. I'm sure that there's tons of different like napkins being sold with like people's signatures on them. Like, oh, this person, so and so, signed this napkin, so it's worth $5,000, right? How the hell do we verify that like that is the real signature? Like that person legit signed this thing. And so that's the technology where that blockchain is enabling, where you have digital receipts. There can, along with like, you buying a memorabilia, you get the video of the person actually signing it. You get like, that's the asset that like, gets delivered to you as you buy something. You get to see the process of it being done. And so I think for verifiable ownership, the blockchain allows for that. The blockchain allows for somebody to say, you know what, I signed all of those things, like that's legit, and there's a digital receipt. And so I think we're gonna, that's gonna be a whole new wave of like I think NFT projects is just being able to like just confirm, like being able to verify. Like now you don't really have to bank on a third party saying, oh, this signature is legit, or having whatever, an autograph expert analyze the autograph and like confirm that this is that person's autograph. Now the blockchain allows for that sort of transparency.
That's very interesting. I feel like that alone is going to change the entire landscape of NFTs as soon as the creative market starts to understand that you can start to put out exclusive pieces of content on the NFT landscape. And now your fans, your followers can basically be a part of that. And then the value goes up as your own, clout goes up, right? I think that is very interesting. That was one of the things that kind of caught my attention with NFTs. And you personally own a few yourself, right? Of the athletes, you have that. What was it? Tom Brady's NFT?
Yeah. I sold one today, but I've got a healthy Tom Brady portfolio.
Love it.
I've collected maybe around like 150 NFTs or so to date.
Wow.
Across, different just different sort of things. Going back to the gaming, that's one where I see gaming being a huge huge opportunity. Like Ubisoft just announced, I think Tom Clancy's like Rainbow Six might be where they're gonna do some sort of like NFT project.
Wow.
And gaming is like, yeah, I'm very excited about like what sort of innovation we see with NFTs and gaming. But one of the most attractive things about NFTs and gaming, to put things into perspective for everyone, is that what makes, let's say, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six valuable? What makes Call of Duty valuable? What makes Instagram valuable? It's all the users that spend their time on these games, on these platforms. Now with NFTs, the users are being rewarded for their time. Like that's what is one of the most exciting things about NFTs is even if you don't have money to invest in NFTs, but you have time, you can do all right, like do well, like start collecting, like and financially start collecting NFTs and being rewarded NFTs, like simply for participating. That's one of the areas where I'm very intrigued and excited about, especially with gaming. And I'm a bit worried about it as well, because if NFTs came out when I was in middle school and you told me, hey, the more that you play this video game, the more coin you're going to earn, or the more, whatever the currency is in that ecosystem, whether it be NFTs or certain coin, like the more of something financially valuable you'll receive as a result of you dedicating time to the game. If you would have told me this in middle school, like people would not have seen me outside ever. Like I would have just been stuck in my room playing Call of Duty all day and I think, and this is, I think, the next evolution of games like Call of Duty. So Activision, if you're listening to this, we're waiting for you to bust your move, where I think in like an NFT ecosystem for something like Call of Duty, and I think we're going to probably see it with Ubisoft and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, users are going to get rewarded for simply just playing the fucking game. Like just spending time on the game. We're now realizing, this is the next evolution of the internet, where the platforms, the big companies, the creators are realizing that, well, what makes our product valuable? It's all of our users, right? And now we have to figure out a way to reward these users to get them to keep coming back. Now, as they have so many options to go here, it's going to get more competitive for user attention. And so that's the next big fight for I think any company in the world is user, how do you reward people that are your customers? How do you reward people that are your users, people that are spending time on your platforms? How do you give back to the people that make your platforms valuable?
That's very interesting.
Gaming, that's where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be huge. I don't know which company is going to be the one that like executes it the best. When that's the game. But in short, play to earn is what the name is. Play to earn. The more you play, the more you earn. So it's it's also, it worries me too from like a human behavior perspective. It's kind of scary, to think that like pretty soon we're going to be getting paid in whatever the ecosystem that we're in that's valuable. We're going to be getting paid something for just spending time gaming.
Yeah.
And that's the next evolution of gaming. It's next evolution. Music artists as well, where, how much more likely would you be willing to stream your favorite music artist's music if you knew you had like a financial upside? The more streams, the bigger that music artist got, the higher their stock went, the more that like your investment, your portfolio grew. And so I think, it's going to totally like revolutionize the music industry, where, people are going, creators, music artists are going to want people to remix their music, are going to want people to use it in their normal Instagram like videos. I think it's gonna seriously start to like combat and fight the whole copyright issues, where like people are like, no, you can't use this song because it's copyrighted, it's protected. But in this ecosystem, in Web3, I think that music artists are going to give music for free, and they're going to say, look, remix my song, do whatever you want with it, put it out in, your ads, this, because it's only going to make my stock,
Bigger,
going up. And then the same users get to participate in that. So
Right.
I think, music is going to be like, we're going to see, I think, a change in like the way that the music business is being done. And then to add to that, is that nowadays, if you're a music artist, you don't really need a huge fan base to be able to support yourself financially, to be able to support your family financially. You just really need like 1,000 super fans that really believe in you. And like, we're seeing it now every single day in the NFT space, where with just 1,000 super fans, people are being able to support themselves financially. Like the financials from like just having 1,000 super fans is very real. Where one would think, oh, you need probably like 1 million streamers or whatever to like be able to like make real money, where now we're not seeing, we're seeing that that's not the case. You just need really, super fans to believe in you and your projects. And you, you can support yourself financially from a relatively small fan base.
I saw a recent TikTok with Gary Vee, and he was talking about how much money he made from VeeFriends. And I think he said it was close to about 74 million. But, the people were asking him, like, how can I replicate that? Right. And Gary Vee, I mean, clearly he was just like, look, I have built my audience over years without ever taking anything from them. This was literally a byproduct of that. He even mentions him launching VeeFriends in the most busiest time of his career. He had multiple other investments and ventures that he's doing, and he launched this, NFT project and did all this, but it was because of that loyal fan base, and kind of like what you're talking about, the super fans. Gary Vee has thousands and thousands of super fans, and for him to launch something, everyone's going to be a part of it. I just think it's really interesting. A lot of people want to start their own NFT project these days. What are your thoughts on all that?
So first, for anyone looking to start an NFT project, the one piece of advice I have for you to keep in mind is community. Like, people can sniff out bullshit real quick. You have to respect the intelligence of your audience. And that's something that Gary has done for years. And that's why his project is one of the most successful NFT projects that exist. It's one of the reasons why I spent, this is all, and that's also what's crazy about blockchain and NFTs. Like, all of this stuff, like, you guys can see my public wallet. Like, it's like no bullshit. Like, it's filtering out a lot of the fakes and bullshitters of the world, because like you get to like, it's all transparent all done on the blockchain. So you get to see like, the moves that people are making, like what are they holding? Like, what's, a brand can't say, oh, we sold out, or, we have all of these customers or something. Like, the public can see, the transactions. And so, Gary has mastered the law of reciprocation.
Yep.
He understands value exchange. Like, he's someone that, he drilled into me, like, just through watching him fucking yell at the camera for years. Like, he's got me to understand clearly value exchange. It's all value exchange. If you're looking to start an NFT project, the only thing that should be on your mind is like, how can I bring value to my customers? How can I bring value to these people? So for me to invest, what I did was 19 Ethereum. At the time, it was about $64,000 to buy one of Gary's tokens, the Passionate Parrot. It was a no-brainer. For me, one, I'm betting on, so I should start by saying I felt like I still, to this day, I still feel like I owe Gary, and that's something that he's mastered and he's done well, is he's given me so much free game, so much free advice. He's always, like if I need like a boost me up, his podcast exists. Like he's created this brand of like being able to like, just support people. And I feel indebted to him because of so much value that he's provided me. Like I use some of my profits from like buying other NFTs that he told me about, to buy his NFT. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was almost like Gary's made me money by literally just telling me, hey, he's just put me on game to certain things where like, I almost feel like, even if this is like a bad investment, like if I don't get my money back or whatever, it still feels good to support someone financially that like has actually done, good things for you. And like he's delivered real value to me. And so that's what I would encourage anyone to think about. Just starting your own NFT project, what NFT projects to buy, make sure, you understand value exchange. That at the end of the day, all that really matters is like, the value exchange of creator and customer, and which Gary has really mastered. And so, I think he's built a huge community of these super fans type people that like listen to his stuff every day. I was one of the people that like, for me, when he told me, he's like, all right, you listen to my shit, now like turn off my video, like turn this video off and like go execute this shit, like go do it, like,
Yeah.
Like I don't even think I would be in like a financial position to be able to afford any NFTs if it wasn't for Gary, way back, like, being one of those people that like, just pushed me in the right direction, gave me game, gave me some sort of information, gave me confidence. And so, I think it all comes down to like, value exchange. And that's the reason why I think, people are spending ridiculous amounts of money on his tokens. I saw that video that you were mentioning where, I think, the one I saw, it might be, he made like in like 90 days or something, he made like $91 million. And then he was giving like a keynote talk and he was like, and just in the past day, in like the past one day, he made like a 10% royalty on all the secondary sales on his project. And it was like $246,000 in like a 24-hour period of time on royalties. But
insane.
Like it's insane, right? And that's like profit, that's like boom, money in the bank, it's like, that's like, damn, okay. Like it's serious. Like there's like serious money, but to your point, he spent years not monetizing his audience, not selling them courses, not selling them, like just giving out information. And for like people that were like really listening, I think like if you've like actually really like listened and looked beyond the like, people call him a snake oil salesman. They call me the same shit. If you look past beyond like that showman bravado, like the man's delivering a real value, for someone that's like really listening and like executing on the stuff he's saying, it's created life-changing events for people.
100%. I could never like talk down on Gary Vee. I mean, you do see these videos come up of these naysayers, and I mean, I watch a lot of Impulsive. It's a Logan Paul's podcast, and he talked about in that podcast how Gary Vee like literally just FaceTimed him one day and was like, "Hey man, you need to hop on this Zoom call right now." And he also FaceTimed Mr. Beast and like all these big creators, and like he literally just has them on speed dial and tells them about his new project, which was I think V Friends at the time. And so it's like Gary Vee is trusted by some of the most elite individuals, and I can't see any reason why anyone would talk down on him. The guy is just a genius. He's talked about it a few times, but I mean, some of the bets he's made, in himself and in his business, he called a lot of these trends early on. So he's an amazing individual. Yeah.
Yeah. People forget that Gary Vee, this is the guy that was telling people in 2007, 2008 that influencer marketing was going to be huge.
Yeah.
He's the person that he's made his career off of being early on trends and being right. And if people look past, I think people that like, I see the comments like that, the what we were just talking about him making a ridiculous amount of money on his NFT project. I went through the comment section this morning today, and I saw the fucking comments of what people were saying, and like a lot of people were not saying, like, the majority, it surprised me a bit, the majority of the comments were not positive. They're like people hating on him, talking shit. And I think it's people that have not maybe they haven't taken the time to like really digest, and like look deeper into just like what he's saying, or like even giving him a chance to like hear more. I think people nowadays are quick to write off things, but yeah, no, Gary, he's been right, many times about, things like this, like trends, new internet trends. And yeah, and they forget, they look past that, like, also he's not just like a great communicator. Like, the guy actually has built businesses, he's actually like, he's built businesses. He's been involved in a good amount of businesses, like, as an investor, advisor, whatever. Like, the guy's, he's really in the game. And I think what I'll say about him is I think he truly respects the game. That's something that I like about Gary, is he respects the game. And yeah, I laugh, and the people talk, and it shows too, like, I guess the current state of the world, really. I mean, a lot of people are just headline readers, they don't
Agreed.
really look at things
Yeah.
deeply. They also don't taste, like, they don't actually get their hands dirty and like try shit and like, get involved. Like, people are quick to write things off that they've like never even like dabbled like more than like an hour in,
Mm-hmm.
But Gary, yeah, he's someone that like, he's built his career off creating value, like his like social media persona and stuff. Like, I followed it for years, and the things he has sold has been like, like sneakers, wine, books, of which I've bought pretty much all, just because like, I'm like, no,
Yeah.
seriously, like, like I'm grateful for like this information. It's almost a way to like support and say it's like a thank you, and he talks, he wrote a book called like Thank You Economy.
Yeah.
And I think if entrepreneurs began to think like that, of like, this is one thing that like Gary inspired this thought in my head, which is like, one of like the things that like I move forward with when I'm thinking about business moves and like what businesses I'm involved in and whatnot. I think about like, how can I get the most people to just tell me thank you? How can I get the most people to like really just email me thank you, write me thank you, tell me thank you? Because you'd be surprised how much like positive can be coming into your life as a result of just getting other people to say thank you to you.
I agree. It's I think we forget in this day and age how much gratitude, is necessary, and just saying thank you to someone and supporting them, it goes such a long way. There's so much negativity in the world, and when you can put a little bit of positivity out there, it can make someone's day. So,
And if people are saying thank you to you, it means you're providing value of some sort. You're providing
exactly.
some sort of value to them for them to say thank you to you.
Hmm. What are you currently doing in the NFT space, and what would you say is maybe a good way for people that are looking to dabble in to make some money, and just kind of get surrounded by that ecosystem?
I am currently collecting, I'm tasting and experimenting, because without a doubt, I know I will launch an NFT project. I'm taking my sweet time to really understand the culture, the intricate details, and get myself deeply involved. For someone just starting, hop on Discord, hop on Twitter. Before you spend a dime, hop in, talk to people. Like, you'd be surprised at how many people are willing to help if you humbly go up and ask for help, right? Instead of starting from ground zero and shooting with a blind eye, which sometimes it works, right? I've had my a fair share of experience with the NFT space where I just like went in with a blind eye, and some of those worked out because I didn't know any better. I was just naive, like, it's
100%. Yeah.
but you'd be surprised at like how much human beings are willing to help other human beings, especially if you approach in a humble way where you just are asking like, hey, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, what do I do? Right? Like what should I learn? What learning materials or learning resources should I start looking into? That would be my first thing. It's the logical thing. Most people don't want to do it, but learn, like just do your homework. Like spend your however many hours is. I know Gary likes saying like 50 hours. I would say maybe do a little more than 50 hours. Like do, however many hours you can allocate, like 1 hour a day, 2 a day, spend a whole day on it. Like, but like, just dive in and start consuming, information. It's a lot of information to consume at once. You have security protocol, which is one of the big things like that. And that's even a whole learning curve to just even understand like, all right, like where are my NFTs stored? How do I access them? How do I protect them? Like what if this company goes out of business and ask questions, like go in there with like, and don't be afraid to ask questions. You'd be surprised, like I said, about how many people are actually willing to answer these questions honestly, with like no agenda behind it. Ask people, like just ask people questions.
DM the man, House of NFTs on Twitter.
DM me, House of NFTs on Twitter. I'm happy to chat with you. And yeah, like before I bought a single NFT, I spent a really good amount of time. I don't know how many hours, definitely well over 50 hours, maybe closer to 100 hours, just like literally in the chats, like just watching what people are saying, asking a question, reading podcasts, just respecting the game. That's what I call respect the game. People don't respect games enough. People, they want to just go in, get the easy road. I'll just that's how you respect the game. You respect the game by becoming a part of the game and become a player in the game. Just ask questions. Discord and Twitter are great sources of what in the space we call alpha information. I would say too, if you're looking to buy NFTs, I'll give you like my internal list of like my internal checklist of like, before I buy an NFT, I want to make sure they check these boxes. One of the first and most important boxes for me is, okay, what does this person have to lose? What does this person, group, brand, company have to lose if this project goes to shit? If this project just flops, goes to zero, what do they have to lose? Like what's on the line for them? What's what are they risking? And that's why investing in Gary was easy, because he's built his whole reputation on his, his like brand is very valuable to him, like that is, I'm sure, is a big funnel for VaynerMedia clients, right? Like him being right about things is really important to him and is really valuable to him. And like a lot of people, that's why they pay attention to him, because he's right, and like when he has conviction in something, he's not afraid to, talk about it with high conviction. And so that was someone that I remember, this was when I decided to buy, like I knew Gary, I'll go back. I'm like Gary in the sense that like, I'm not always like, I know this about myself. I'm not always one of the first movers. You have pioneers, and then I think you have like the second wave, which is me. I don't, if you told me about NFTs, like let's say 9 months ago or whatever, still like, I have to see with my own two eyes, consumer behavior. I have to see how people act. And that's how I started to like understand NFTs. Like I became a player in the game. I saw how addicting it was from firsthand. I saw like, oh shit, like, no, this is like serious. Like, I'm losing sleep over this, like I started to taste like, okay, this is like, I'm starting to, like firsthand experience the whole culture about it, and so, yeah, when Gary said that I will let my marketing agency, which he has like 1,000, 1,400, like over 1,000 employees. He's like, he said this, I believe it was like a Zoom call. He dropped in on Discord, dropped the Zoom link and started talking about it. And was like, guys, like, I'll let my marketing agency go to zero before I let my VFriends NFT project go to zero. And
Wow.
okay, that's someone who values his brand, his community, because he understands too, like the details, like people are investing their hard-earned money into his NFT project, betting on him, counting on him to pull through and do some shit, like, and and then move forward. And so
he's a visionary. He's just such a visionary.
Someone like that, that's a foolproof, safe-proof way to invest in people that really give a shit about their followers and their word and their reputation. Like that's something that I liked about, hearing him speak about that was that like, you could tell he really gives a shit. I'm part of another project where like, it's going like, like the execution from the team is not going well. And someone asked me, like, what do you think is the biggest difference between this project and like, VFriends? And I was like, guys, pretty simply, the owner of this project doesn't give a shit about us. The owner of this other project gives a shit about us, the users, the community, the customers. And so that's really, I think, one of like the safe, foolproof ways to go about your NFT collecting, investing strategy is put money behind people that give a shit about you, that aren't just going to happily take your money off and run with it and not do shit or, like just they're in it for quick cash. Like, that's why it comes to also respecting the game. Gary's going to be around in a few years, 5, 10. He's been talking about VFriends like a 45-year NFT project. And so, those are the types of things you want to hear from like someone selling you or pitching you an NFT project, is that like they respect the game and they give a shit about you. And then, I think historical lore is another thing too. If a brand is like a well-established brand, and now they're launching an NFT project and they've got years and years of IP value, it's a safe bet that like, okay, this brand has like it's got a building behind it. It's not just some like fly by night new project, which on the other token, I will say that the new fly by night type of Web3 true crypto native projects, you'll see a lot of the OGs, they're investing into like true Web3 crypto native projects that respect the game, understand the details, and not just some big brand that just sees NFTs as a cash grab. Oh, there's this huge trend, huge wave going on. Let's jump in. Let's make some quick money. Hooray. You notice that, yeah, the OG, people that are whales, you call them, they're putting money behind projects that respect the game and respect the ecosystem, this new ecosystem. Because that's also the idea, is that this is like a new ecosystem. So you'd be surprised. That's one thing that surprised me a bit about how, like, even though like some big brands or big celebrities, they have a huge brand, right? A global brand, being a celebrity or whatever, then they're not respected as much as you think they'd be respected in this Web3 ecosystem, because now people are like, what, we're making our own rules. We're not going to, just let people do half-ass projects, drop half-ass projects on the community. Like they'll call that shit out because it's, you have like a general like standard of excellence that you want to see projects. And so just to wrap up my mental list, not to go on off on a rant, brands that have a lot to lose on the line, the horses, like who's actually running the jockeys, like who's actually like, day in, day out in the trenches, like doing stuff for the project. Do you believe in them? Like, do you think they're going to stick around? Like, so that's another thing. Community. I think, it's like the buzzword, that, people have been overusing for years now, but it's true. It's like you want to put money into a project where like you feel it's a good community. It's a welcoming community. It's a community, they give a shit about real world problems, right? It's real human beings. So those are, I think reasons that people buy NFTs is because they want to like feel part of a club. That's why we see these Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs be all the craze, is because people want to be a part of that club. They want to feel like they're in the ranks with NFL players, NBA players, CEOs of big companies, brand, like they want to feel like part of that ecosystem, part of that community. And so that, is what I'm seeing is like a big driving factor behind the pricing and all what you're seeing in NFTs is how exclusive is this club? Like someone tweeted at me, they're like, yo, these are like digital country club memberships, like that's what people are paying for like these clubs, is like you're paying for like, access to a club. Like I've bought some NFTs where it's given me quote unquote access to like people that like are way above my rank in the world. Like, right. They've got 20 years of business experience on me. Like they're just savages. They're, crushing it. Like they're way ahead of me in terms of like, their professional career. But like, because of NFTs, I'm now in like a circle with some of these, people that like I wouldn't, normally, like in the real world, like you wouldn't normally be sitting side by side with these types of people. And so that's a cool part about NFTs, is it's giving people access to people that like they've never had access to before.
What's the real monetary upside in this? Like right now, getting into NFT as a beginner, like, how there's all these different ways of making money online that everyone preaches and stuff. What would you say NFT is, or getting into that space is kind of more valuable for? And yeah.
So one thing that people don't talk about enough is the community aspect. So one is like your NFT investment can be ROI positive simply because it opened up a door for you to meet with someone that you guys did some deal or whatever, or they hired you for their company or something, where it opened up like a life-changing door or something for you. And it's happening day in and day out. People that join the NFT community, if they're active in the community, it's like a lot of NFTs like based also on meritocracy. Like if you're good, people will see you and they'll value you. So we're seeing people that are just putting in the time. Maybe they don't have money, but they're putting in the time and showing the effort day in and day out. And so they're getting hired by these people like, yo, we see you, we identify you, that like you're someone that you're putting in the effort, you're putting in the time to be a part of this community. And like we're going to hire you and you're going to, be a part of the team. And then another thing that people aren't discussing enough is the added the key or the token into a community, access community that like, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example of like marketing. You get some marketing worth or marketing value or you get marketing worth, for lack of a better term, is what you get when you buy certain NFT projects. And so Arizona Iced Tea did something with the apes. They posted on one of their on their Instagram. They posted a can, like an Arizona Iced Tea can, and it had one of the Bored Ape Yacht Club apes, or maybe a few of the Bored Ape Yacht Club apes on the can, right? They posted this on their Instagram, and you go see the engagement on that one post of the Arizona Iced Tea can times Bored Ape Yacht Club versus like their last 10 posts. And you'll see that one post got a ton more engagement than their last 10 posts simply because they did a collab or, something with the apes, right? They they did. And so that's what you're seeing, like, which poses the question, okay, for Arizona Iced Tea, who was averaging like maybe less than 10 comments per post, and then this one post gets hundreds of comments, how much would they have had to pay Daddy Zuckerberg for that engagement on on Instagram? How much would they have had to pay in Instagram ads, Facebook ads to get that type of community to go and like really comment positive things on their post? And so that's something that people are overlooking. But as an entrepreneur, that's an opportunity. And we're seeing now more and more. I saw a Pretty Little Thing, the fashion brand, ape in to this morning. They posted on their Instagram that they aped in and bought a pink ape as the brand. And I'm sure they're going to do something, probably some clothing or something there. I know we're working on that with our family fashion business, where we're using some of the IP that we get from World of Women, this women project. Shout out to you, Gary. He called that one early. We're going to get to use some of this IP, put it on t-shirts, and then sell it, right? And now, because you just joined the NFT community, you get like a golden ticket into the door with this community that's all about this project. And if you do something that's valuable for that community, like a really cool t-shirt design or something, you get to now monetize. Like you can sell t-shirts with your NFT. That's what we're doing with the World of Women and the fashion. We're using our women that we bought to put it onto like clothing, and that IP value, we're hoping, it just keeps going up. So yeah, that's one part that's not talked about enough, is that like just by buying an NFT, if you're a brand or company, or for your personal brand, it will unlock like a community for you. And we've seen it, the Hundreds and the Bored Ape Yacht Club. They did a collab collection. It was like the first big merch collection in the NFT space. Boom, sold out. Like average order value, very high. So you get to just tap into a network of buyers that like are already really about that brand or that product. And so it opens up e-commerce and all sorts of possibilities for like brands entering the space. So I think that's what we're going to start to see more, as well as more like brands, established brands, start aping in and buying projects in order to get access to that community and transact with that community.
It's kind of like a lot of backdoor benefits from buying an NFT. It's all these perks and access that you get. It's not just the financial value of being able to resell it one day. It's, okay, I get to be a part of this network. I get to use this NFT for licensing rights. And I get to just meet people through the community. So that's very interesting, man. I want to talk a little, I know we're, getting here to 2 hours, but I do want to talk to you about how do you spend your days right now? I know we talked about a lot of different kind of ventures that you're a part of with Instagram, with the space, NFT world. How are you divvying that up? If you were given like a pie, what percentages of the pie would you say right now your mind and you're focused on?
A percentage of my pie breakup. It's changed obviously since I lost my Instagram pages a few months ago. Like earlier this year, my pie breakup was like 80% Instagram and my e-commerce, like running my Instagram meme page and running my a Space Smoke Shop page, and then everything, behind all the business development and all like the behind the scenes work of those two. It's still a very high percentage there. I would say my breakup is definitely since I got deplatformed, instead of like 80% Weed Vids and Space Smoke Shop and 420 Emojis, which is my app. Instead, 80% there, maybe drop down to 40%. So 40% of my time still Space Smoke Shop. That's my baby, my main business, where we sell glass, just smoking accessories, and then. So yeah, now I'm maybe at 40% Space Smoke Shop, Weed Vids, probably another 20% Alpac Media. So servicing clients, helping brands grow on Instagram. and the other 20% on NFTs, Web3, miscellaneous.
Got it.
And that, that varies. I went through, I think I went through 1 or 2 months where I went like 70% NFTs, just NFTs, like 70% NFTs. I started building the House of NFTs Twitter. We grew to like 1,000 followers in a month. I hit my goal of hitting 1,000. I was like, all right, now let me, go hit some other goals. But I would say right now I'm probably like at 40% my cannabis accessories and cannabis business, 20% Alpac Media, and then the other 20 doing Web3 stuff and miscellaneous things. I'm involved with the family fashion business, so I still run that Instagram daily. That's where my split up is right now.
Got it. And where would you see yourself in 5 years or even 10 years time with everything you're currently doing? What does your life look like?
I'm realistically, okay, so 5-10 years, I'd like to see myself 80% venture capital, 20% philanthropy.
Okay.
Like I definitely, I'm looking for, I was just listening to Alex Hermozy's podcast this morning. He broke down.
Love that guy.
My guy's a stud. But he broke down just kind of like we're all like kind of going about our lives trying to solve deep internal problems, and there's still like he mentioned something about he reached a point where like money, he's got enough money where it solves all the money problems in his life. I wish I was there. I'm not there yet, where, money's still important to me. So I've still got to hustle. Like I'm still, building, want to get to a comfortable place to then, just go in and start reaching in for that other human desire that I have, which is for meaning, and that's where, philanthropy and this actually, well, I got the stage here. This is an organization I'm really passionate about, and I see myself getting a lot more involved in as time, with time, is this organization called OUR Rescue, which is an organization dedicated to rescuing mainly women and children from human trafficking. That's one heavy subject no one really likes to talk about. I talk about it just because if we don't, who will? But it's a very dark subject. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes, my home country being Colombia, where prostitution's legal. And it's a big problem in the world where literally most people don't know this, but like in your hometown, there's women and children going missing all the time. And their bodies are getting sold, and I think God's children aren't products, we're not meant to be sold. And so that's something, I'd like to be able to dedicate more time to an organization like this and do things and get more active and involved. But yeah, man, I think my dream's always been to be a venture capitalist. That way I can support social causes and social impact entrepreneurs and organizations that I'd like to see more of in the world, have control of my time. It's something that I really enjoy. And just, to be able to eventually give me the freedom that I want and need to be able to just do the meaning type of work in my life, which is philanthropy.
I love that, man. I love that. I think, we all just get so busy with our lives and you forget, that, you do want to give back at some level. It's so easy to just become so self-centered around your friends, family, and then forget that there's a lot going on in the world that you can help with even just a little bit of your time every week, every month, so love that you're doing that. So we're getting to the end of our podcast interview, and we'd love to do a quick little rapid fire session with you. Okay. So I'll give you some questions, and you just rapid fire, give me some answers.
Okay.
All right. Question number 1: what is your most used emoji?
My most used emoji is probably the prayer hands one.
Prayer hands.
People say it's like a handshake or whatever. I still think it's prayer hands, or like a high five, but I still think prayer hands.
Prayer hands. Okay. Who do you go to when you find yourself stuck in any situation?
Andy Frisella podcast. Man,
Andy Frisella.
he's got a military approach that resonates with me. When like someone like talks to you like a military sergeant and just calls you out on your bullshit, he fires my ass up and always just reminds me that I always could be doing more.
Love it. What's your hidden talent most people wouldn't know about?
Oh man. Performing. Like music, like when I'm in the car alone, I give like 10 out of 10 performances with music. I don't know, like but I hold back when I'm with people. But I would say my in-car performances when I'm driving solo and I know every fucking word of a song and I'm just giving like a full passionate performance.
All right. If you had to binge a Netflix show, what would it be?
Ooh, Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders. But that show, it's a good show. I like it.
All right. What's the last text you sent to and to who, if you can say?
The last text was maybe to you. Let me see.
Okay.
Let me check my message here and see if it was actually to my best friend. Shout out to you, Chad Anderson, my homie. I texted him, Young Anderson, sup, bro? I want to invest in real estate. Maybe like 70K. What do you think I should do? You see the OpenSea thing at top. He was asking me,
shit.
What's the main platform for buying, selling NFTs? Those are real homies, homies that help each other, that's why I'm not afraid to ask someone that, knows more than I do in some area. I just go up humbly, like, yo, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. What do I do?
Ask for help. Ask for help, man. I love that. If you had to make your own online digital course, what would it be about and why?
It would be a $1 course. I would sell it for $1 and I would call it the $1 approach to business, where so many people, I think, get caught up in trying to make a huge business and overcomplicating shit, when a strategy that I've instinctively had when starting new businesses and working in a new business is, guys, why the fuck were we worried about our first 10,000, our first 100,000 when we haven't even made $1 yet? I would encourage every entrepreneur to just focus on making your first dollar with your new product, your new business. If you want to sell a product, sell it for $1. If you want to sell a service, sell it for $1, because I think people underestimate the momentum that can be created just from transacting one time. Most businesses go their whole lifespan without making a single dollar. And I think if they just focused on making that first dollar, okay, now we made $1. How can we make $2, $4? And so just starting very simple. It'd be the $1 approach. And I would encourage people, guys, whatever you're selling, whatever your product, your service is, let's figure out how we can get our first customer here for just $1. And then from there, we're gonna just adapt and keep evolving to, turn that $1 into 4, 6, 10, and just keep compounding. But that would be the course. It'd be like, let's focus on making $1. And this happened when one of my first startups, I started with some high school buddies. We raised venture capital. We thought we were on top of the world, where at 18 years old, I raised venture capital, and on paper, I was a millionaire, right? Because I owned a third of the company. We raised venture capital, and we raised venture capital at a $10 million valuation for a pre-profit startup. We hadn't even made a single dime. And that was like, I remember one of the weeks where we're going over weekly goals, and I was like, guys, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, let's make our goal this week to make $1. Like,
Yeah.
if we can make $1 this week, I think it'll start us off in the right direction. To at least getting used to the feeling of transacting, getting money coming in. Like even seeing that $1 can be so encouraging for a business that hasn't seen a single dollar. So that would be the course would be like just the $1 strategy, the $1 approach. How the fuck can we make $1?
Okay. What has been the craziest DM you've ever received, whether it's from a celebrity or a friend, if you can recall in all your days of social media?
The craziest DM. One cool one. Pretty recently was Cheech and Chong. I don't think it was like Cheech and Chong, the people, but whoever was managing that page, like hit me up and they were like, "Hey, you want to do some shares?" Like they liked my content, and they were like, "Yeah, just wanting to do like a share for share." And just so seeing like an iconic brand like Cheech and Chong, hit me up. That was a pretty cool feeling because I was get to see my content with my watermark on that page, which is cool. And like, yeah, I think that was one. Then like craziest DM, I think this will bring some value to people that are DMing people with asks. Some of the craziest DMs that I've gotten was people like entitled people asking for some shit with like no conscience of like not thinking like how the fuck is the other person going to receive this, of just like asking something crazy like, "Hey, I just started this new business, like it would be cool if you posted this on your page." Like those are crazy DMs are like, I get because you see them like they're crazy because like you're like you'd have to be crazy to send that and actually think it's going to work, where like, yeah, just that's probably some of the craziest. I would say the like to me is like I was like, what the fuck? Where like people would just ask for like crazy shit, just a free story post, a free Instagram post, just with a clear like gimme, like I'm not willing to like offer anything here, but I would say that, and then I would say. And then Gary taught me something too about sending. It wasn't a DM, but Gary Vee a few years ago sent me an email, which taught me like gave me an idea about like sending, and I started to use this strategy and it worked. About sending instead of sending like a typed out email, what Gary did was he sent me a video selfie, like him speaking to the camera saying, "Hey, like this is what I want from you. This is what I'm willing to like offer in exchange." And so that was something new where like, we're so used to, hearing like seeing written text or audio. But like someone sending like a selfie video to you via DM or email, that was something new. And for sure it was memorable. It was like one of the most memorable emails that I've received. Was him speaking on camera.
Tell us a life motto you live by.
Memento mori.
Memento mori.
Stoic Latin phrase for remember you're gonna die.
I love that, man. It's so true. It's so true. Okay.
Yeah.
Top 2 movies of all time.
Ooh, top 2 movies of all time. Django, I recently rewatched again. Such a great film. And Matrix.
Dude, it's been so long since I've seen Matrix.
I had to go back and rewatch because I went when I was very young. I remember, you forget a lot, but I went back and rewatched Matrix. Yeah.
Okay. If you could spend a day in anyone's shoes, whose would they be and why?
The President of the United States. Because I'd like to see what the fuck they do all day, and really how things are ran, because as
also
a citizen,
I would love to look at the files.
As a citizen, man, we're just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like we're left out of the loop a lot. Like, so I'd like to just seriously see like how shit being ran behind the scenes.
Are aliens real, right?
I'd like to know.
Yeah. All right. Last question. Knowing what you know now, if you had to start all over, what would you do?
I would have more confidence in taking risks. I know it sounds cheesy and cliche, but I have realized how much opportunity I left on the table for just being a bitch. Just simply put, just being a bitch and not willing to take the risk. So I would say, yeah, looking back, I don't regret. I'm very happy for the way life turned out, and I'm here now speaking with you, a stud. And thank you for having me on this. But yeah, man, I would say just have bigger kahunas and be willing to like take more risk. Like knowing that like what's the worst that could happen. Type thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Pablo, man, it's been an honor. You've been such a good friend to me over the years, and we've done so much together. So appreciate you for being on. Where can people find you, man? Where can people find all your businesses and anything you're trying to plug right now?
All right. So first, thanks for having me, man. You know how highly I think of you. And thank you for helping us. I know you've been helping us with our businesses. So thank you.
Hell yeah, bro. Anytime.
And find me on Instagram, Childish Pablo, or Twitter, House of NFTs. That's where I'm spending some time on right now. Yeah, hit me up on Insta, Childish Pablo. DM me if you want to connect. And if you are a cannabis connoisseur and you need some new glass, you go to spacesmokeshop.com. That's all I got.
Let's go, buddy. Let's go. All right, guys. Well, that kind of wraps things up for this podcast. I'll run the outro and we'll be off.
Thanks for listening to Breaking It Down with Yogin Patel, your one-stop shop for business success and personal growth. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. Share with a friend if you found value in today's episode. And for more information or to connect with Yogin, subscribe to our newsletter and check out Yogin on Instagram and TikTok at YoginPat. We'll see you next time.